Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did, so let's get started. Number 5 is Cruella, which made $3.8 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $71 million and its worldwide total to $183 million. So it has now officially crossed the $70 million milestone in America, which is very good, and this now puts its worldwide total just $17 million away from $200 million worldwide. And with all things considered, I'd say that is pretty impressive, and I guarantee it'll probably get there very soon. Maybe not on this video series, but it'll definitely get there at some point in its theatrical run. As for 100 million domestically, I once again am very skeptical about that because yes, while it is getting closer and it has been holding strong for the past couple of weeks, it's already at 3 million, and the competition for this summer is starting to come closer and closer, and I think those movies are definitely going to put that movie down a couple notches on the charts and gonna keep the movie away from reaching that goal. But still, 71 million domestic and 183 million worldwide during a pandemic is nothing to laugh at. This is still a really good performance, and it was able to become one of the biggest hits of the year so far. It would have been a much bigger hit had the movie wasn't that much expensive to make, costing $200 million, but still, where it's at right now, considering what we're going through right now, this is still a pretty solid performance. Number 4 is Peter Rabbit 2 The Runaway, which made $4.7 million, adding to a domestic total of $28 million and a worldwide total of $107 million. So not only did this film just fell a slight decrease of 22%, but now this puts it just $2 million away from $30 million domestic, which is pretty good if I do say so myself, and is now sitting at $100 million worldwide, which is just stupendous and well above the $45 million budget this movie costed to make. This film continues to just keep chugging along. Word of mouth is spread across the country. While it's not a huge breakout hit, it is doing better than most people thought it might do, especially considering the opening weekend. However, we'll see if this film can continue this sort of success and these strongholds this weekend as it faces its first real big competition this Friday. More on that later. So we'll see if Peter can put up a good fight, because if you've forgotten, earlier this year, both Tom and Jerry and Raya and the Last Dragon were both released in a week's distance from each other, and they were both able to maintain strong hold, even if Raya definitely stayed longer in the top 5 than Tom and Jerry. So we'll see how Peter does. But for right now, it's looking pretty alright for Peter Rabbit 2. As I said already, the film crossed over 100 million, so it's already a hit nonetheless. And let's see what happens this week. Maybe it can stand a chance, but I've been wrong before. But, let's remain hopeful. Number 3 is The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which made $4.8 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $25 million and its worldwide total to $32 million. So as I predicted last week, this film took a massive hit this weekend, mainly due to, well, another action film we will talk about later, releasing this weekend and basically stealing a ton of this film's audience. Now let me just state this, for the time being, this performance is not bad. $25 million right now for an R-rated, bloody, violent action comedy is nothing to laugh at. It's actually kind of surprising, considering that no one really asked for this movie, and it will definitely cross 30 million domestically very soon, and I think it even has a chance of getting to 45 million domestically, which again ain't that bad. But considering the legs and how strong the first film, The Hitman's Bodyguard, was able to pull off when it originally released, this is kind of disappointing. But again, it had a lot going against it. It had big competition this week, and the competition is already on the horizon. So it's definitely going to need a lot of willpower to even come close to the first film's 75 million domestic take in when it released in 2017. And even I don't think it's going to manage to pull that off. But again, strange things have happened before, so we'll see if maybe this is just a second week drop bad second week drop off, because Quiet Place Part 2 had one for sure, and that's the highest grossing film in the country. So we'll see if this film can manage to pull something to that degree. It definitely will not, but we'll see. You never know. Speaking of A Quiet Place Part 2, number 2 as well, A Quiet Place Part 2, making 6.1 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 136 million and a worldwide total of 232 million. Nothing, and I mean nothing, is stopped. This film fell 32% this weekend. Even stiff competition isn't enough to stop this thing from being the biggest movie ever right now. That is amazing. However, this is one of, if not the last weekend this film will be playing in theaters exclusively, as in the coming weeks the film will be able to be viewed on Paramount Plus at home. So that means if you haven't seen this at the theater yet, you probably should do that as soon as possible. So let's see if this movie can go out with a bang before it's released on the streaming service that no one really wants. Because if I've said it once, I will say it again. This is a stupendous theatrical performance. I'm so happy this movie is as successful as it is. And if it's going out, I hope it definitely goes out with a bang. And finally, let's end the video off with the number one movie of the weekend, and that was, of course, F9 The Fast Saga, which made $70 million this weekend domestically, and is currently sitting at $406 million worldwide. This puts it just $1 million behind Cruella. Think about that. $1 million in 3 days, just under Cruella, and outperform it. That is insane. I also think that this guarantees that this film will surpass Godzilla vs. Kong both domestically and globally, and I think it even has a chance at surpassing Quiet Place Part 2, because unless if it takes such a massive hit and suffers from such a huge drop next weekend, which I highly doubt, then I see no reason why it won't surpass Quiet Place Part 2, especially since the huge opening weekend it has. We talked about this last week, saying, oh my gosh, will this movie even come close to Quiet Place's opening? That opening weekend is so high, and we're still in the midst of this pandemic. Can it even top that? And yes, it did, by like almost $20 million in the US alone. That is incredible. Keep in mind, this was the first film to get pushed back to this year. Fans have been waiting like a year and a half to see this movie, since they've been patient. As the saying goes, well, at least to the fans, good things come to those who wait. And despite my thoughts on the film, if you haven't seen my review, go check it out. I still think this is a stupendous opening, and I can't wait to see how well it keeps going throughout its theatrical release, because man, oh man, I am happy to see a movie open to this such a degree, and seeing people rush out to see movies at the theaters again, because this really brings hope for the future. But once again, congratulations to F9 for such a spectacular opening weekend. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet, as we got another week ahead of us, and new movies hitting theaters this weekend. And this week we've got 3 new films hitting theaters. The first film is Zola. This film hits theaters on Wednesday, so it's getting a huge jump on the weekend, and this film has been receiving massive critical acclaim. People calling it the best movie of the year, one of the greatest movies ever made. It is a must watch, and I don't think it's gonna make it in the top 5 solely because of how little advertising I have seen with this movie. Believe me, I was shocked to see this movie was coming out this week. I was like, oh, right, that movie is coming out. I heard good things about it, and I've only seen 4 promos at the most this past month advertising it. But who knows, maybe the critical acclaim might help it out, and again, it's opening on Wednesday, so that should at least help the movie in some way, shape, or form. And then we have the Forever Purge. This is the fifth film in the Purge franchise, and it's supposedly supposed to be the fifth and final film, or so they say. And I think this movie's gonna do fine. It's not gonna be another Conjuring, and it's certainly not gonna be a Quiet Place Part 2. I think this film will just do fine. Maybe 13, 15 million this weekend. Largely due to the marketing of the film has been strong. I've been seeing a lot of promotion for it. I know people know that the film is coming out this weekend, but the reason I don't think it's going to be as successful as the other horror films that came out this summer is that the last film, there was a decline. It didn't make nearly as much as the predecessors. It made more than the first one, but since there was such an increase with each and every film, you'd think that one would, the attendance would just spike, but no, it went down. So maybe interest is waning. So we'll see if the decline happens or if there's an increase with this fifth and final film, because like for the most part people will rush out to see a movie if it's the final film. So let's see if this fan base is that devoted and really cares about this franchise enough to check it out for one, maybe final last time. And lastly, there's the Boss Baby Family Business, which I cannot believe I'm saying this, but will most likely be the biggest new release hitting theaters this weekend. I think this movie has a lot working for it. It's the first family film in 2 weeks. People were pretty satisfied with Peter Rabbit 2, and no one saw Spirit Untamed, so maybe more people will go out to see this film, especially since it's in the middle of summer. The first film was a huge win for DreamWorks, and the TV show was another hit for DreamWorks and for Netflix. The show has been reported to be Netflix's second most popular animated show for children last year, behind Avatar: The Last Airbender. That is insane. So I think that is another benefit for this movie, and it's the only animated film until Paw Patrol in August, or if you want to get technical, Space Jam in 2 weeks. So yeah, I think there's a lot going for this film. But we'll see how these movies really do when they hit theaters later this week and on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you guys think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below, let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on all those social media links right there. It is 4th of July weekend coming up very soon, so please stay safe. If you're doing gatherings, please socially distance. We don't want anyone getting sick during this holiday weekend, so please stay safe. And of course, if you're using fireworks and legally. And until next time, guys, stay sharp.